Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, coming to you live from Lagos and Abuja. A reminder of our top stories. Almost 100 world leaders attend Nelson Mandela's memorial in Pretoria. US President Barack Obama calls Mandela a giant of history as President Jacob Zuma renames Union Building Mandela House. Students resume in some universities, but academic work yet to commence as directed by the federal government. And 2 French soldiers killed in combat in the Central African Republic. Well, just a quick reminder that all our top stories are on our website, channelstv.com, and on youtube.com/channelsweb. To get us on the move, visit m.channelstv.com to view us live on your mobile device. And you can also download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS and Windows phones from their respective stores. Of course, it doesn't end there, as you can interact with the Channels Eyewitness feature on our Android and Windows 8 platforms. So if you have a picture or video to share with us, all you need to do is download the Channels TV Android app on your device, swipe to reveal the Eyewitness menu, and then follow the instructions to share your reports, pictures and videos. Well, a very emotional day it was in South Africa today, with grief tinged with celebration and admiration for the man who peacefully brought an end to a brutal regime in South Africa, mending the country in the process. At the FNB Stadium in Johannesburg, world leaders joined thousands of South Africans, some singing and dancing, as they celebrated the life and legacies of the man Nelson Mandela. Our Foreign Affairs correspondent Amarachi Ubani stayed with the day's events and now reports.
It was a day of celebration of the life of the founder of modern democratic South Africa, as the nation and the rest of the world continues activities to usher him to his final resting place. The National Memorial, held at the FNB Stadium in Johannesburg, has been described as one of the biggest gatherings of international dignitaries in recent years. Despite the heavy rain, which South Africans considered a good sign, given the caliber of man Mandela was, more than 100 current and former heads of state and government showed up to pay tribute to the man fondly called Madiba or Tata.
For the people of South Africa, for those he inspired around the globe, Madiba's passing is rightly a time of mourning and a time to celebrate a heroic life. But I believe it should also prompt in each of us a time for self-reflection.
To us, Nelson Mandela was a visionary. He epitomized an uncommon humanness that inspired all of mankind.
President Jacob Zuma, in his address, said Mr. Mandela was one of a kind. He spoke about the struggle to independence and Mandela's selflessness, and announced he was renaming the Union Building in Pretoria, where the body of Mandela will lie in state, as the Mandela Amphitheatre.
He demonstrated unique leadership, in spite and starting negotiations with the enemy whilst in prison. He also negotiated for the release of his fellow political prisoners first, before his own release.
We have always been mindful that we share Madiba with the rest of South Africa, Africa and the rest of the world. Indeed, Madiba was a great man, but was humble in all things. He saw his greatness not as a means to dominate or express a sense of superiority over the others, but as a means to make all men and women equal, so that their lives could be lived to their fullest.
Although South Africans refused to put aside political and social issues plaguing the current government, there was still the overall feeling of warmth and deep respect showing that Mr. Mandela had no doubt left a nation and the world that loves him. Amarachi Ubani, Channels Television News.
Well, staying with tributes to Mandela, the UN Secretary-General, Mr. Ban Ki-moon, said the memorial was a time for reflection on a man who was not just a father to his children, but to the nation as well. The African Union Commission chairperson, Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma, thanked Mandela for the lessons taught and leaving the world better than he met it.
Tata, we thank you for your countless sacrifices for us and for the rest of humanity. The lessons you've taught us, including that looking after your health is as important as your revolutionary duty. And also for graciously preparing us and assisting us to internalize your mortality. You have lived a beautiful life. You bequeathed us with a better world than the one you were born in. Dada, Africa shall be prosperous. Africa shall be integrated. Africa shall be at peace with itself. And Africa shall play a dynamic force in the world. Africa shall invest in its children, the youth and the women in particular. We thank you for having mentored us. You have taught us a lot. We are here today because of you.
Nelson Mandela was more than one of the greatest leaders of our time. He was one of our greatest teachers. He taught by example. He sacrificed so much and was willing to give up everything here for freedom and equality, for democracy and justice.
Well, back here in Nigeria, a four-man vigilante group which amputated the hand of a young man has been arrested by the Kogi State Police Command in Aloma of full local government area of the state. The Commissioner of Police, Mr. Saidu Madawaki, who paraded the group at the State Police Headquarters, Lokoja, urged residents to continue to supply useful information that will help security agencies curb criminality in the state.
The suspects, according to the Commissioner of Police, were arrested at different locations across the state, including this 68-year-old man who claimed to be the leader of a vigilante group that amputated the left hand of Victor Unisa for allegedly stealing a motorcycle.
Commission got to me that they saw some people pushing this machine that they stole, going away. Then I have to took my people again with the torchlight and machine, and we carry ourselves on top of machine, pursuing them.
And as we search and get him on the way, he removed cutlass to attack fighters because fear allowed us to near him. So immediately he removed the cutlass to fight us. Then we collected that cutlass, not knowing that there's another cutlass again for the machine. We won't carry the second one before I just use the cutlass, the one I removed first from his hands, before I use it, cut in hand.
Victor will now live for the rest of his life with one hand. He spoke through his father, who interpreted for him that on the fateful day he was in the farm when he was attacked by these men.
There is one man who they were living together. Then he used to help that man carry planks, and the man asked him to carry the machine home. So while he was going home, he tied the traps at the back of the machine before the people met him and started attacking him.
Amongst the other spectators paraded is this 24-year-old law student from the Kogi State University, Anyigba, Ilode Harriman, who was caught vandalizing PHCN cables. Items recovered from the suspects include a black Lexus RX 300 with a registration number Lagos EE 480 FST, a Toyota Avalon car, PHCN cables, cartridges, one locally made revolver, Indian hemp, cutlasses, and one motorcycle.
The case is under investigation, and he will be arraigned before the law court when the case is concluded.
The police authorities say all the suspects will soon be charged to court after all investigations have been concluded.
The lack of true democracy in the country has been blamed on the frequent litigation following elections. Well, this point was highlighted at a gathering of legal practitioners in Abuja, where the role of legal practitioners in the nation's democracy was examined. In his address, the Deputy Governor of Delta State, Professor Amos Utuama, noted that elections in Nigeria are yet to be free and fair in accordance with the rule of law. On his part, the Director General of the Nigeria Institute of Advanced Legal Studies, Professor Epiphany Azinge, urged legal practitioners to stop encouraging unnecessary election litigations.
We have controverted and litigated our elections. This has sent to onlookers the wrong perception that our elections are yet to be legitimate, fair, and we have a weak rule of law.
Not just the court or the clients, the lawyers also, who are in a position to advise their clients whether to go or not to go, should also be circumspect in that regard. Make sure that you do not unnecessarily advise clients because you want to earn some money. You should be careful to know that this case cannot achieve any objective, and advise your lawyer with clear conscience that the game is up. Do not bother.
When the news at 10 returns, Delta State government unites with Chevron to fight sea pirates in Uborodo community. Do join us again.